On this episode of the Redacted podcast, our guest is a former stripper or gentleman's club worker, exotic dancer, whatever you'd call it. And it was supposed to be kind of a lighthearted story, funny stories, deep dives into that world, and kind of a look into it. And it is. And there's some funny parts and lighthearted parts to it. But what I didn't understand before the interview is, kind of when I asked, how did you get started in this? Um, there's a dark element to that, and it does involve some domestic violence, physical abuse. So trigger warning on that if that's something that bothers you. And then there's a obvious trigger warning to sexual content, sexual themes, things of that nature. So if any of that bothers you or offends you or you don't like listening to it, maybe this isn't the episode for you. Otherwise, sit back, relax, and enjoy. Okay, thank you for joining us on the Redacted podcast today. We have a guest here. She's been so gracious to come in. She's going to be anonymous, so we're not going to say who she is. We got Pamela back there working the soundboard and the video gadgetry. She's been sworn to secrecy. But thank you for coming in and joining us today.
Yeah, absolutely. It's a pleasure to be here.
So, your thing was when we first started contacting or talking with each other, that's really interesting, is that you were in a bunch of, or a few of the high-end strip clubs in Atlanta, and you'd work there.
I wouldn't necessarily say high end, but it wasn't low end.
It was medium.
Yeah, like I was on a good medium ground. I was referred to as a baby stripper.
Okay.
It's when you're new and you're still learning the ropes and whatever. So it was a good place to start with that.
So like the little dollar signs on Yelp, when they say you were like a $2 sign, $3 sign.
2 or 3.
Not the 1, not the 5.
Yeah.
Okay. So you have some stories and some really interesting things that you've seen and experienced, and the perspective that you have of it. And you wanted to come share those. And I think it's it's an interesting subject because it's like going to a strip club, gentleman's club is something a lot of people have probably done at a bachelorette party or bachelor party.
Or just a Tuesday. Yeah.
Or just a Tuesday. But nobody really knows like what really happens or what it's really like, or like, because when you're there, you're putting on a show.
It's an acting job.
Yeah, it's an acting job. So just kind of cool to get the real perspective. So what kind of, how did you get there? Like, how did you start doing it? What made you decide that was something you wanted to try?
So after I turned 18, I worked a serving job.
Okay.
And there had been a girl that I'd been working with there for a couple of months. And she had come in one day and was like, I worked a shift last night at the strip club. Sorry, this is throwing me off. She was like, I worked a shift last night at the strip club. I made so much effing money. Like, I don't even want to be here anymore, like as in work.
Oh, jeez.
She walked out in the middle of the shift and we never saw her again.
Oh, shit.
And prior to that, she was like this really homey person.
Yeah.
If that's the right word. Like, she had done a lot of really cool stuff. I think she was like 20 at the time. She I don't know if this is too specific to who she was, but she
Just don't say
had
names.
lived out in like Yellowstone as a park ranger and
Oh,
had
wow.
just done a lot of really cool stuff, and was just cute as a button. And she was a really sweet girl. And yeah, she walked out, and in the sense of working in that restaurant, we never saw her again. Never
Huh.
heard from her again.
It's like watching Andy Dufresne get out of Shawshank or something.
Not familiar.
Oh, okay. I don't know. Like he busted out, like they busted out. You're
Yeah.
like, oh shit, what's that all? Was that kind of
No, she was just stood there and she was like, I feel like I'm losing money by being here.
huh?
So that stripper mentality immediately set in with her.
Okay.
That's a huge mentality that sex workers kind of develop. They're like, anything that is less money than I could be making is not worth my time.
It's
And
losing money.
yeah,
Yeah.
it's losing
Okay.
money. She's like, I could be in Atlanta right now making 5 times this amount at least.
Oh
So she
wow.
just left and never came back.
What city were you in at that point?
We were,
I mean, just
um,
roughly.
yeah, we were outside of Atlanta. We were about 45 minutes outside of Atlanta. So it was like in a
Okay.
suburban area. It's in the metro area.
Okay.
Yeah. Um,
So that was kind of like your first inkling into like I actually know someone. I met someone. I know this person, and
yeah.
they
Well,
said
I
it's
was
great
like
money.
almost starstruck by the idea. I was like, I've never even thought about like that before, really. I was like, that's actually really cool. She's like, because I think she said she made like $500 and was off by 8 o'clock
Oh
in
jeez.
the afternoon. She's like, I worked the day shift,
Oh
made
jeez.
$800 last night, my first day. And I was
Huh.
like, that is sick.
That's the day shift.
Yeah, day shift.
Jeez.
Yeah, so day shift went from like 8 or 11 to 8 o'clock, but or it was just kind of like whenever you want to come in, but be there
Yeah.
by 2.
Okay.
So when I would work it, because I mostly was day shift, it was 2 to 8 o'clock.
I've never even thought about day shift.
Not
At
everyone
us.
has it.
And I mean, we can get to that part. That's kind of funny though. I've never
Yeah,
like
who's at the
like
strip club in the
go get
middle
a
of the
lunch.
Yeah, yeah, and people would come in for lunch. We had a full kitchen and full bar, and on Fridays we'd
Oh
set up a
jeez.
buffet.
Oh gee, a buffet at a. That seems weird too.
Oh, that was the best stir fry I'd ever had in my life, I think, was
So it
the
was actually
strip
pretty
club
decent.
buffet.
It was pretty decent.
Yeah. No, they
Okay.
had good food, and people would come in and get a steak or, a sandwich or something and get a lap dance and go back to work or whatever.
How does your how do you keep going with your day after that one? That's a funny thought. I've just never because everything and everyone I've ever known, I guess I've never done it myself or even known someone that just went in for like a lunchtime strip club. Like,
Well, most people at the strip club is like a whole event. It's like me and my buddy's bachelor party,
yeah,
and
it's like
we've
a
got
nighttime.
$1,000, and
It's a nighttime thing.
yeah, we're gonna get hammered and go to the strip club. Like, it's actually a vast majority of the people who come into strip clubs are regulars that
Oh
we would
wow.
see
Okay.
at the minimum once a week.
Jeez.
And sometimes they'd come in and spend $100. It was always at least 100. And sometimes they'd come in and spend well into the thousands.
Oh jeez.
Just drinks, food, private rooms, dances, stage tips, you know.
It kind of sounds like a casino in a way, a little bit. It just makes me think of it because it's like a lot of people when they go to the casino, it's just a like this is an event. We're going for a birthday party or a night out or something like that. But then like if you're like a regular, you're almost like just grinding it out, just like
Yeah. It's
you're
like
hitting
going to the
this
casino,
thing.
but you don't make your money back.
No, no. Well, neither one. Yeah. Both of them.
Yeah.
Yeah. You end up a little broker, more broke,
Yeah.
better words. Um, so you hear about this. What do you walk out?
No,
Go run and
so
apply.
um
What kind of happens next?
at the high school age that I was at, from the beginning, well, it started before high school, but the entirety of my high school years, I'd struggled a lot with my mental health
Okay.
and my self respect and, even just a firm grasp on what a normal reality is.
Okay.
And my perception of reality and perception of relationships was really warped. And at this point in time, I'd had a boyfriend, quote unquote boyfriend, who was not a good person.
What age is this?
18. I started seeing him when I was 17,
Okay.
and he was 19 and 20 at the time.
Okay.
So I was seeing this guy, and he was not good to me at all. He
Okay.
was sleeping with multiple other women behind my back. He was
Jeez.
very verbally abusive. He was very manipulative, and eventually turned very sexually and physically abusive.
Oh, jeez.
And so after I had graduated high school, about 2 weeks after I graduated, I had broken up with him because I logged into his Snapchat, and the first thing that I saw was a video of him from like the day before sleeping with my friend. And I was like, what the fuck?
That's dramatic.
And reached out, broke up with him, and this man was just out of his mind. He was extremely just a bad guy. He'd had multiple charges of domestic violence against women that he was in relationships with. And of course, I made him, I'm like, they're lying.
I can change him.
I can fix him. Yeah. And I thought that I was so special and so different, and these women were lying, and I was completely manipulated by this person. And so I'd broken up with him, and he had sent his friend after me, pretty much. He reached out to his friend and was like, hey, try to get her to come over, try to sleep with her, see if she does it. I want to see if she's a hoe. Again, just a really weird, warped way of
That's
thinking.
fucked up. Yeah, that's...
And I'm 18, and I have no idea what normal people look like in normal relationships.
Yeah.
And, you know, in this age group, a lot of things are just drama, including your romantic relationships and friendships and your family life and things like this. So behavior like this to this extreme was not that big of a red flag to me, when it definitely should have been.
So your gauges are...
Way off.
Yeah.
Way off. So his friend reaches out. I know exactly what he's doing. His friend actually, I think, told me. He's like, this guy's trying to be weird. And I was like, okay, I'll play this game. I'll come over. So I'm 18. I could just walk out of the house at that point. I turned 18. My mom was like, hey, don't be an idiot, but like, you're free, you know, pretty much. And I left to that guy's house around 11 o'clock at night. Go there, and he just starts telling me about, oh, he's on Tinder and sleeping with all these women, hitting it raw, like disgusting. Like, you need to go get checked. And I was like mortified, especially because at one point in our relationship, he was in jail for 6 months, and I was the only person talking to him while he was in jail because I didn't want him to be alone.
Jeez.
Yeah, it was really twisted. And he was in jail 6 months. Like, his mom wouldn't even talk to him. His mom wouldn't even put money on his books, probably because he was a giant piece of shit, and she knew that. He deserved to be in there. It was for a domestic violence charge against a different girl.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. Again, I can change him. I'm different. You know, she hit him first, like whatever I was telling myself at that point. And the guy takes my phone. His friend takes my phone while I'm there, takes a picture of his own car because it's a distinct car, and sends it to the ex-boyfriend. And proceeded to, I mean, I might have been sexually assaulted a little bit because I was like, I'm just gonna fuck with the ex, like mess with his head. And his friend was not cool. But so at that time, my ex-boyfriend lived about an hour away from this house, maybe more. And I'm in this guy's bedroom, and about 40 minutes after that picture is sent, the door to his bedroom just opens and it's him. He made it like an hour and a half drive in 40 minutes once he received that picture.
Jeez.
And he was fucking livid. And he looks at me and like laughs, grabs my phone and slams it on the ground.
Wow.
And it like was slammed on the ground so hard it bent backwards. Like it was at a perfect, like, what is that, 45-degree angle, pretty much. And I found out after the fact that while he was driving there, he hacked into my Facebook account, took screenshots of illicit text messages that I was sending to someone, Facebook messaged them to my mother
Oh, shit.
at 2 o'clock in the morning. My mom didn't even know I was out of the house, and she's a light sleeper. She wakes up and is getting these weird fucking messages from my account. Can't find me. I'm not answering the phone because it's bent in half. My location's off. Like, she has no idea where I am. She's freaked out.
Jeez.
She is horrified right now. And I think he, like, sent her, like, my nudes, too, or something. Which is
That's fucked up.
absolutely psychotic behavior.
Yeah. To put it lightly.
Yeah. So he basically keeps me trapped with him for the next couple of hours up until the sun comes up. And I think it's kind of important to mention here that there's no drugs or alcohol involved in any of this part of my life.
For you.
For me,
Yeah.
at least. I don't know about him.
Yeah.
But yeah, this was all sober, and it's like being trapped late all night. My mom can't get a hold of me. She doesn't know where I am. She's like about to call the police, thinking I've been like fucking kidnapped or something. And he takes me to the store. He's like crying and apologetic. He buys me a new phone. I get on it. First thing I do is text my mom. I'm like, hey, I'm alive. I didn't know then that he had sent her anything from my Facebook also. So she calls me and she's like, where are you? And I was like, I'm getting taken home right now. I'm getting taken home. So I drive myself home, or I was getting taken back to my car. My bad. I drive myself home, and both my parents are just mortified by what just happened. They don't know where I've been. They don't know what happened to my phone. They don't know who I was with, who sent them the messages, nothing. And I spent a lot of my adolescence lying to my parents. And I had decided in that moment, because I was done. I was very scared when he walked in that room and slammed my phone, and I was like, I'm done with this. I can't keep messing with this person. This is just terrifying, a terrifying display of behavior from this man.
Yeah.
I was truthfully fearful for my life, I feel like, at certain points throughout that night.
It's like a turning point.
Yeah. So at that point, I was like, we're done. I'm not doing this on again, off again with this abuser anymore. And while in that 6-month period that he was in jail, I had gone to his court dates. And this was not his first run-in with domestic violence charges. This was like his 4th or 5th time, I think. Jeez. Yeah. He had a pretty lengthy criminal record, mostly being violent. And I had watched a judge tell him, like, we're really tired of seeing you.
Yeah, this is a bad dude.
Yeah. They're
just
like,
a bad dude.
We're tired of seeing you. You're not going to prison this time. If I see you in my courtroom again, you are doing at least 7 years. Turn around 2 months later and he's doing it again to someone else. Like, he's no self-control. He's just not a good dude at all.
So is this kind of turning point, is that part of what started the path?
Yes. So
that you ended up.
Yeah. So my parents told them about the phone, told them who did it, told them what happened, and they said, well, we're going to the police. Okay. And you're going to talk. And I said, I don't want him to go to prison. I don't want to be with him. I don't want to be around him anymore. But I don't want to see somebody go to prison. I don't want that to be at my hand, even though it was not at my hand, and I know that now.
Yeah.
It was his own actions. So I wouldn't tell them where we were, so they couldn't figure out what precinct. They drove me to like 4 different police stations. Police start talking to me. They'd be like, who did this? And I said, I don't know. Where were you? Don't know. I was not talking.
Wow.
No, strict no snitching policy.
Wow.
Even though I know now that that's not snitching, it's putting someone away for something they deserve.
Exactly.
And after a certain point, they said, well, you can either start cooperating and talking and fixing this, or you can get out of our house. So I said, okay, give me back the phone he bought me, called him and said, my parents are kicking me out. You need to come get me. I threw what I could into like a laundry hamper, I think like a tall laundry hamper, and he came and picked me up. And that's the last time I lived with my parents.
Jeez. It was kind of like you called their bluff or something.
No, I knew they meant it.
Okay. Yeah, it's like one of those things I just want you to do the thing. Like I know this is the best thing for you to do. I just want you to do the thing, and then you're like, yeah, fine, fuck it. I'm
Yeah.
out.
I just didn't want him to go to prison. Again, I didn't even want anything to do with him anymore.
Yeah.
But I didn't want him to face those kinds of consequences and go to prison and be alone, even though today I so badly wish that I had, because I would have saved myself a lot more trauma.
Yeah.
And a lot more pain.
So what happened after that? So you leave, you're on your own now.
Yeah, so we move into an apartment 25 minutes outside of Atlanta together.
Okay.
The rent was $679 a month. And it was like off of a college campus, so these apartments were designed to be student housing. So it was a 4-bed, 4-bath, you just pay for your room.
Okay.
And we lived in there together, and I got a serving job down the street and was working that for a little bit. And he was becoming increasingly more and more abusive. Like, he started beating my ass at that point.
And he hadn't really done that before?
He had slapped me before, like so hard I like flew backwards onto my bed. And that was it.
That was it?
Up until this point, yeah.
Okay.
Again, just warped perception of how people should
It's like
be.
a gauge thing right there.
Yeah.
You're like, oh, no, he didn't really beat me. He just slapped me so hard that I flew back onto my bed.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's a...
No biggie. Yeah.
That's a big hit.
Yeah. That was...
Jeez.
Again, the smashing the phone story was my last straw, and I really wanted it to be over after that point, but
it wasn't.
Got forced, basically, into being with him, because otherwise I'd have nowhere else to go protecting him. So during this time, he became increasingly more and more abusive. It was getting pretty bad. There had been one point that I had walked out of my bedroom and was begging my roommate to call the police, and I had just blood all over myself, and it was mine. And it was pretty rough. And so this serving job that I was at, I was not making enough money there to kick him out. The apartment was in my name, and I was like, I got to start making some money. Reach out to the girl that I worked with at that restaurant.
Tie back into the beginning there. Okay.
Asked her how to do it. She said, I work at this club in Brookhaven. Come in, audition. I'll tell my house mom about you. You're gorgeous. You're gorgeous. You've got a nice body. You'll totally get right in. You do have to get a license. It's $250. But
I didn't know that.
Yeah, in Atlanta, you have to. City of Atlanta, they require you to have a permit.
What do you do for the permit, or just pay money?
You just go to the police station. They run a background check, make sure you don't have any like prostitution charges or something like that, and then pay them $250, and they say, "Okay, go get naked, have fun," you know. But yeah, so
you go to the interview or audition.
Interview.
Okay, it's an interview.
No, it's not an interview.
No. So what happens?
So
how does that go?
I had snuck to the audition in his car.
He doesn't know about any of this.
No.
Okay.
Well, I was trying to get rid of him. I wasn't going to tell him, you know, I'm about to start making enough money to get rid of you, you know?
Yeah.
Plus, he would have just lost it. He was going to lose his shit just about me being a stripper anyway. Yeah. Other people seeing me naked. And so I go to the audition and they say, okay. Well, they had told me previously, wear heels, wear a 2-piece outfit, bring a little cover up to like cover your butt. for when you're walking through the club, and you're gonna get on stage and do 3 songs. And this is while the club is running. Like, there's people in here. They say if
I
someone
thought it
hands you
would have been like before hours or after or something.
nope, it was
Just
like probably
just
2
going
o'clock.
live.
Yep.
Wow.
Um, and they told me before I got on stage, they're like, "You probably already have the job. We just gotta make sure, when you get naked, you don't have any disturbing scars, tattoos, a penis, something like that." So, yeah, they say you do 3 songs. First song, you're gonna be in your outfit. Second song, you take your top off. Third song, you take your bottoms off. This is a full nude club.
Okay.
No touching, full nude. Um, and I do that. They give me the job. They say, "Okay, here's a form. Take this form. Go get your license, and then we'll see you when we see you."
How, I mean, you'd never done anything like that before.
No,
And to have to, for the first time, like just strip for, I don't know, 20 people in there.
about that.
How- How'd that feel? I mean, did the adrenaline just push you through it, or did you kind of dissociate, detach, or did you just like, fuck it, let's do it?
It was really interesting because I remember walking out on the floor being very nervous, getting on stage. I've never even touched a stripper pole before,
Yeah.
being very nervous. Music starts. I do the first song, second song starts, time to take the top off, and I look at the other girl on the stage next to me, and I'm like, she's killing it, and I was like, fuck it, I'm a star. And that's just kind of the mentality that you have when you're dancing on stage in general, is you're like, they came here to see me. I'm the star of the show here. Like,
Oh, wow.
I'm the baddest bitch in this room. So
I'd have thought you'd been a lot more nervous, but you just
it
clicked into
clicked
it.
for me. Yeah.
Okay.
It was almost too easy because I was
It's a way to put it.
5'7" and 120 pounds soaking wet, and I had a great body and a cute face. Knew how to do my makeup so that it was appealing for an environment like this. Had hair down to my ass, like I was like what you want to see when you walk into a strip club, pretty much. For
But you didn't
most
even
men,
know what to expect. You'd never
no,
even been in one.
no.
You didn't know anything about it.
Yeah, I did notice that this club was what's the word I'm looking for? It where it's like inclusive. What's the word I'm trying to use here?
Inclusive, diverse.
It was a diverse club.
Okay.
Yes. There were women of all races, ages 18 through probably about 43. Different body types, different hair types, different, like
Yeah.
stretch marks, no stretch marks, kind of chubby, really skinny, C-section scar, like, but they were all beautiful women. So I was like, okay, I'm young, I'm skinny, I'm cute, like I look good in here.
Yeah.
But yeah, I just took over and I did well in the audition, and they were like, "You got the job."
You got the job. You start tomorrow.
Working in a strip club, there's no schedule for the most part. Most places, it's
Really?
kind of come when you want. You have to be here at least once a month for you to still be considered a contractor under us, because it's a 1099
Okay. Okay.
job, independent contractor, and you have to be there at least once a month to be still on their list. But it's come whenever you want, whatever time, whatever day. We might see you just once a month, But
that seems actually kind of nice.
oh,
Like
it was
flexible.
fantastic.
Yeah. Like if
I
I want to make a lot of money, I can work a lot. If I don't, or if I have something to do, and somehow it balances out that they get enough staffing, or I mean, did they ever get too much staffing?
Yeah, they had a cutoff of oh, we have too many girls, or they stopped taking auditions because they have too many girls, just and not on their payroll, but
Yeah.
basically on their payroll. They would have a cutoff eventually, and oh, you came at 2 o'clock. We already have 15 girls on the floor. Like, go home. We don't want you here.
Okay.
Early bird catches the worm,
Yeah.
kind of thing. Um,
So how does so you're a contractor. So how does pay work?
Cash in hand.
Cash in hand.
Yeah. So, I mean, you go to a strip club, you tip in cash. So
Yeah.
they tip on the stage. You can do private rooms for cash. If they pay on card, the club will give you the money that they had spent on the card at the end of the night. Table dances, $10 for a song. Um, and you just kind of, you take that money home at the end of the night.
Are they taking a piece of that?
They do take a percentage of it. It depends on how much you make. Like if you made like less than $150, they'd be like, just give us $10 and you're good. Tip out the DJ.
Okay.
Tip your house mom, tip your floorman. He looks out for you, you know, like, so
Is everyone kind of working on tips then?
just about, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Oh, it's like, I would love to be a house mom. Like I mean, if you have a Friday night, if the more money your girls make, the more money you make.
Yeah.
So if your girls have a good night on a Friday night or something, you're walking out of there easily with $1,000, and all you did was sit at a desk and tell her her outfit looked good, and you know, oh, you need eyelashes. Here's some eyelashes. Here's some socks. You know.
And so that was my next question. It's like, that's kind of what I imagined a house mom doing, like when you put
Yeah.
a title like that. But it's just like making sure that you guys are all set. And that, I mean, do they make schedules or do they give advice or are they
They'll give
keeping people
advice.
in line or like
Yeah.
drama?
Yeah, they'll diffuse issues. They'll keep people in line. They kind of manage like the locker room, the dressing room,
Okay.
a little bit. If they want to make some more money, they'll like get online, buy cheap socks, eyelashes, makeup, perfumes, whatever, and sell them, or outfits, just straight up buying garters and
Oh, wow.
things like that, things that you need. And they'll sell that. You know,
Like
they'll mark it
setting
up.
up a little
shop. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Some will bring
That's
in just
interesting.
complimentary stuff. Oh, thanks for all the perfume and lotion and whatever, mom. Here's $25. You're awesome. Like,
Yeah.
you know, it was a tip based job, and I think it's really cool.
Is that someone who's like, maybe I'm ignorant here, but is that someone who's like been a dancer before
Typically.
and is now aged out or doesn't want to do it anymore?
Typically, yes. My house mom at that club, she used to dance at that club in the 90s.
Okay.
She'd worked there for a really long time.
So I picture like a 50-year-old lady. It's like,
no, it
no?
really just depends on how valuable you are to the club.
Yeah.
How much they like you. The owners like you, whatever, and you say, I'm done dancing, and do you want a new house mom? I can do it, you know.
Yeah.
And they do the cash out at the end of the night. You know, they collect your money when you're with your tip outs and all of that.
Okay.
But typically, yeah, it's ex dancers who are tired of dancing, who got pregnant and still want to work there, and you know, or just got a little too old for it. You know.
Yeah. So everyone's kind of DJs working on tips, a chunk of the tips, floormen, you know, the guys at the door, bartenders. And then how is the club? What's the club's big income? I mean, they're taking a little bit of maybe your private dances, or is it a percentage? How does that work?
Well, the club will run off of food sales if they sell food.
Oh, okay.
Beverage sales if they have a full bar.
Did this one have a full bar?
Full bar, restaurant, not restaurant, but kitchen. And they run off of the girls' money as well.
Okay.
The tip out, you know, oh, if I make $150, 10 to the club, 10 to house mom, 10 to floorman, 5 to the DJ. Like, you know, so you really are walking out with like $85, you know. But the more you make, the more they make. So I'd had days where I'd made like $2,300, I think.
Oh, wow.
On a private room, and I think I ended up having to give them about $400 or $500 of it.
Okay.
But it's easy money, you know. $400 or $500 ain't shit compared to $2,300, you know.
Yeah, and I mean, hopefully they're looking out for you. They're taking care of you.
At this club, yes, this was a fantastic experience.
So you guys are all working together, and
yeah.
It's kind of like us against them. I mean, restaurants are kind of similar. Like you get the customers, they're coming in, and then everyone's kind of that works there. It's like a battle. Like to try to get, you know, fight through the busyness and take care of everyone. And
it was important to them that they maintained a good reputation. They'd been around for some time.
Okay.
And had a great reputation. And it was important that people kept wanting to go there. There's a lot of strip clubs that are pretty grimy, pretty just not
Yeah.
awesome establishments, and they're like, no, we want to keep this elevated. You know,
Okay.
they wanted to keep it professional. So everybody looked out for each other. Everybody took care of each other. They were pretty strict on their no touching rule, um, because touching in a strip club can easily cross a line or can be considered prostitution in the city of Atlanta.
So nobody touches anybody.
Nope.
It's all just
Yeah.
okay.
Yeah. No, no touching. Like it was to your own discretion, the amount, but like no grabbing ass, no boobs, no none of that. But if a guy wanted to like grab my legs while I was dancing, that's fine, or my arms or my shoulders or maybe my waist or something like that. That was
Yeah.
okay with me, but none of the no squares.
The no
The no
squares.
squares
Okay.
were on limits. Those were strictly off limits. You get caught, you might get one warning. Get caught again, you're not allowed to work there anymore.
Well, and I think that's got to be essential for a place like that is to have those hard limits
Right.
and to be strict about it because that could get out of hand really quick. I can imagine.
Right. Well, the city of Atlanta is actively trying, and the surrounding smaller cities are actively trying to shut down the strip clubs just because of the crowd that they bring in. Atlanta is really changed a lot, pretty much since the Olympics. What was that, 96?
96.
Yeah, that built that city pretty much
Well, I
to what it
feel like
is.
I've just heard a lot about the strip club scene in Atlanta.
It's not what it used to be.
Like, I don't know, maybe in a infamous way or a notorious way or a like it's really vibrant. It's big.
Yeah.
I don't know. I
There
just
was
feel like I've
a
heard a lot about it.
Yeah, it's not what it used to be. Because the city's trying to shut them down. They're making the rules stricter. Neighborhoods petitioning to get them shut down, things like that. And I remember there was one club I was working at in the end of my career, called Oasis. They're shut down now, because I couldn't follow the rules and they wanted them gone. And I remember the bartender had told me like, oh yeah, in like 2007 or something, it was a rapper. It might have been like Ti or something like that. Set up a car wash in the parking lot and
Huh.
like strippers watching cars and stuff in the parking lot of this strip club.
Hmm.
It's not like that anymore.
No.
Um, I'm like, that sounds awesome, first of all. But things like that, just, it's not like that.
So you start working there and like I mean the money's good right away
Yeah.
to kind of go back.
Yeah.
You know, you got hired and you start kind of regularly working there. Are you able to now get out on your own?
Well, so the ex boyfriend knew that I auditioned the day I did. I walked out of the audition. He knew I was there.
The fuck
And
did
I
he know
walk out of
that?
the front door and go to the car, and he walks like from around another car, and I'm just like looking at him,
Hmm.
and it scared the shit out of me. He's like, "You're done."
Do you have GPS on you or something?
Yeah.
Oh,
Or
jeez.
like he knew that I was thinking about it and figured out where I went or something like that. So I'm going to leave, and I'm like super pumped, got the job, can finally start moving in the right direction, go to unlock the car, and there he is. And I'm like, oh
Jeez.
shit. There were repercussions for that day, for sure,
Oh wow.
from him. He tried to leave me in a Bank of America parking lot with no phone in the middle of Atlanta. And I had a bunch of boxes in my car that I had gotten from my parents like a week or two before. He took all my boxes out of the car, threw them in a parking spot, tried to leave me there
Jeez.
30 minutes from home with no phone. I'm a little white girl in Atlanta. Like, you can't just leave me out here. It's the sex trafficking capital of the world or
Yeah.
the country or whatever it is. Like, you can't.
It's a lot of sex trafficking there.
Yeah. Oh, I've almost been picked up multiple times, just not even in scenarios like of what I was doing for work, like just like at the gas station.
Really?
Yeah. It's a weird city. It's really dangerous out there.
Yeah. Like, what do you mean? Like you're getting snatched in broad daylight at a gas station? You felt like how did you feel in danger?
Um, there's pretty much like warnings all over the news and on the internet. Hey, watch out for these tactics.
Okay.
Watch out for these things. If something seems suspicious, it is. Be careful. Watch out for yourself. Protect yourself. Always have your location on. Have a gun if you can have one, conceal carry, like legally.
Yeah.
Um, and yeah, when I'd almost gotten picked up, I was in Woodstock, Georgia at like 10 a.m. on a Wednesday. And I had picked up this attitude living out there. Like, I was just an asshole to everyone because pretty much anyone who's approaching you in public does not have good intentions.
Yeah.
Um, and
Defensive.
yeah,
Yeah.
some lady who I knew she wouldn't have seen the driver's seat of my car, or anything that would have fallen out of it. She tried to be like, "Hey, you dropped something getting out of your car when you went into the gas station." And I just looked at her and said, "No, I didn't," and then got in my car. I didn't even look because that's one of their weird things. And I pull up to a stop sign, trying to leave the gas station. I watch her get out of the van, walk across the parking lot, and start talking to a man.
Huh.
And I was like, "That you got to be smart. You got to be an asshole a little bit."
Well, I mean, what did this woman look like? What was her age?
She
Like,
was a
she foreign?
middle-aged black woman.
Okay.
She had another black woman in the car with her.
Okay.
Um, and I got her when she got out of the car. She walked across the street, across the parking lot, to a bald white man that was standing on the other end of the parking lot. And there was a couple of other times like this. Um, I have known people to go missing, like friends of friends and sister of a friend of a friend and things like that. I knew a girl in high school who met a guy on Tinder and went missing for 2 weeks, and he was pimping her out of a hotel room
Jeez.
in Atlanta. And the police, when
Why
they found her,
Atlanta? Why so specifically Atlanta? I mean, I know that was the big area where you were growing up, but like, I mean, why is it so prevalent there, do you think?
Hartsfield Jackson International Airport is the largest airport in the world,
Yeah.
highest traffic airport. You can make someone go missing really fast.
Yeah. I guess that makes a lot of sense.
And Atlanta is easy access to all these major highways like 75, 85, 20 takes you out west, and north, south, east, west. Like you can get anywhere pretty fast. I think you could get to Chattanooga within 2 hours.
Mm-hmm.
You know, you can
Depends
get
on
to
traffic.
yeah.
On that traffic, I've driven that before. Jeez.
Oh my God,
That is the worst.
I don't want a single person in this state to complain to me about the traffic ever.
That's what I fucking. Going from Nashville, because when we drive from Illinois down to Florida, and we've done that a bunch of times, going from fucking Nashville to goddamn Macon, that whole stretch is just, it's like being on a different planet.
Yeah,
It's a totally different planet. Like the rules don't apply anymore.
there's no laws out there.
Get me started on this. Well, and then it's like everywhere else I drive, people drive like, okay, I'm going to go 85 or I'm going to go 75. I think they just drive on emotion between Nashville and Macon. It's just like, I'm going to go 60 right now, but then in 3 minutes, I'm going to go 85.
Yeah,
And then I'm going to slow back down to 70. Doesn't even make sense.
yeah. When you're traveling
Switching
on 400,
lanes. I mean, that's not even the dangerous shit. That's just keeping pace.
Yeah, no. When you're driving like 485 south of Atlanta,
Oh, yeah.
you gotta watch out for cops. 285, watch out for cops. 75 is a free for all. 85 north, free for all. Like I've watched people.
It's so horrible.
Yeah.
That traffic there, the roads are so horrible. I got detoured like 2 hours out into we were in the farm. We were in like the country, like going around Atlanta. I think that was last time we went back up to Illinois. It's like PTSD, man. Like you just
Yeah.
fucking, we just went off on a tangent with that. You like triggered some PTSD in me about Atlanta traffic.
No, I don't want to hear a single
Anyway.
person complain about it
And,
ever.
yeah. So there's a lot of that there, and then I guess so the boyfriend finds out. Like,
Yeah. So
how do you go back to work there? Do you leave his ass? Like,
he wasn't making a lot of money at the time, and was under the impression that I was supporting him, which I did for about 2 months. A little bit. He was still going to work, but I was paying the bulk of things, and you
Yeah.
know, loosened up on the idea of me dancing, and the first thing we did was go to the smoke shop and buy a $200 hookah. We don't even smoke hookah. Like, it was like a once a month kind of thing because it was wherever we were, like,
So he's like,
spending
okay,
my money. Yeah.
if you make money, you can dance. And then
Yeah.
you're like, I made money. And he's like, let's go buy a fucking hookah.
Yeah.
That's funny.
Yeah.
Like
So,
that's like a
but
interesting little.
he knew his security in the relationship with me was withering at that point, though.
Okay.
Because he knew I had the financial means to live without him at that point. So,
Is this a couple months in or something, or a month in?
it was about 3 months in when I finally got away from him.
Okay.
Um,
How was that?
well, so at this point in time, I hadn't spoken to my mother almost at all for about 6 months.
Mhm.
Because every time I would talk to her, she would just kind of wring my neck a little bit on how I was living. She didn't know I was dancing yet.
Okay.
She would just kind of wring my neck a little bit on it, and I would try to be like, "Oh, I'm doing well at my serving job. And, I have an apartment and stuff." And she's like, "I can't believe you're living with that fucking bum." Like, and I was like, "All right, good talk."
Yeah.
Talk to you later. And it was just kind of that. So I just stopped talking to her pretty much. Like, I talked to her once every 2 or 3 weeks for about 6 months. And it was short conversations. We weren't on good terms. My dad, I was still talking to because he was like, "I just still want to have a relationship with you. I'm not going to let how I feel get in the way of you being in my life." Which I can appreciate a lot. I
Yeah.
understand where they were both coming from. And
It's
yeah.
tough. It's tough.
But so I was very privately dancing, and I decided, I was like, I want to start just posting whatever I feel like online. So I got on my Snapchat where I was going to be posting if I looked cute that day in the locker room, dressing room. And, I blocked everyone that had anything to do with my family, everyone in my family,
Okay.
family, friends, things like that, and started posting what I wanted to. And there had been one night that my boyfriend had come home and just fell right asleep, and I had made a friend out there. And she was like, "We're gonna go to a party tonight. Do you want to come?" I was like, "Yeah, sure." So I tried to wake him up. He wouldn't wake up, and I was like, "Okay, I'm just gonna go." And usually that wouldn't be much of a big deal, but at 1 a.m., and I was super drunk at that point, he calls me and is like, "You're out there being a hoe. Like, you're fucking done. I'm throwing all your shit out, like, whatever." So my friends are like, "This is the end, right? Like, you're done with this guy." And I was like, "Yeah, I can finally do it."
Okay.
So the next morning, I called the non-emergency police number and said, "Hey, I'm gonna go to my apartment today and kick out a boyfriend. He's physically violent with me. I just want you there for my protection, so he doesn't try to pull anything when I get there." And so he wakes up at 10 o'clock in the morning to me knocking on the bedroom door with 2 cops standing behind me.
Oh shit.
And the cops are like, "You need to vacate the premises. You need to get out." So he tore that bedroom apart. He anything that he even slightly paid for, he ripped off the walls and took with him. And then before he left too, he goes, "Oh, and I'm taking my cat," which was my cat. I adopted her after we moved into this apartment. And I was like, "That's my cat." And the cops were like, "Anything that he takes that is yours, settle it in court." I was like, "But that's my cat." And
There's a lot of gray area with that stuff always.
yeah, and they're like, "Can you prove it?" And I was like, "I can. I have her paperwork in this drawer." Go to open the drawer. He heard this conversation and he snatched it really quick before I could prove it. And
He wanted the fucking cat.
yeah, he smuggled her out of there in a jacket. She was a rescue. She did not like to be held. She didn't even like to be looked at. She was terrified of people.
Did he even like cats, or was
No,
he just trying to be
he
a
was
dick?
just trying to be evil. And from what I'd heard after
He
that,
doesn't sound like an animal person.
No, he didn't even want the cat. He just thought it'd make me happy and let me get a cat. But he wrapped her up in a jacket. She's like screaming, this poor thing, who's already traumatized from wherever she lived before, and takes her out of the apartment in front of what I heard through the grapevine after the fact, because I never saw her again. He threw her out the window of the car.
Oh, jeez.
Yeah, he killed her.
That's horrible.
And the cops like let him, pretty much.
That's fucking twisted.
Yeah,
man.
anytime I tried to press charges against him for the stalking that I endured and the cat thing and the things he stole, like the cops were like, "There's nothing we can do, man. Can't prove it."
So, I mean, I hope so. Was this fucking guy out of your life at this point?
Yes. This was the end. So the phone that I had was
Thank
also
God.
the phone that he bought me to replace the one he broke. And I was like, "Can I call my mom before you take the phone?" When he's like getting the last of his stuff out, the cops are still there. He's like, "Yeah, call your mom." And I call her and I'm in tears. And I'm like, "I'm doing it. He's leaving. He's done. He's gone." And she says, "I know you're a stripper."
Damn.
She knew I was getting my ass beat for a couple months at this point, was being abused. And the first thing that she said to me when I said it's done, "I know you're a stripper."
How'd you find that out?
I removed all those people on Snapchat but forgot one. And it was a relative of mine's friend.
Ooh.
She told my mom.
Yeah. Social media, man. Damn.
Yeah, so there...
Was that horrifying to hear that? I mean, on top of everything else that's going on right now.
Yeah, absolutely. And it was funny because right before this had happened, I was working and was out on the floor. I was like, the shift had just started. I'm in the club and I see somebody walk in, and it is a family friend of ours that I had known. I grew up with his kids. I was still friends with his daughter. My parents were friends with him and his wife, and also my grandparents.
Oh, fuck.
He knew my family very well.
So who saw who first?
I saw him. So I run into the dressing room and I talk to my house mom. I'm like, "There's somebody that knows my parents out there." She goes, "Get dressed. You can go for the day. You don't have to give us a tip out or anything. Get dressed. We'll escort you out the back door and you can go home."
Wow.
For, privacy reasons.
That was a good spot.
Yeah. No, they were...
Are you sure you didn't get seen first?
I am now, but at that time, because that had
Okay.
happened like 2 days before, I kicked him out, and then she says, "I know you're a stripper."
Yeah.
And I said, "What?" She goes, "I know." And I'm like, "Was it this person?" She goes, "What?"
Yeah. What the?
No.
I like that.
And I didn't know how she knew until years later when we talked about it. And she told me, she's like, "I've not been able to face that family ever since, because they knew what I was doing." But so a few months after this, when everything had cleared up and I was dancing 3 days a week, regularly day shift, I saw him in the club, and I was still under the impression he's the one who told my mom. And I see him and I walk up to him, I'm like, "Hi, how are you?" He's like,
Oh shit.
"Oh, you work here?" I was like, "Yeah."
Yeah.
And I
you
tell
told
him,
my family, dude.
yeah, I tell him the story. He's like, "No, that wasn't me. I'm not like a strip club patron like that. I'm really good friends with most of the staff here. I walked the nighttime house mom down the aisle for her wedding. Like, they're family friends of ours."
Oh wow.
He's like, "I would never, even
There's
if
a
I
plot
had..."
twist.
Yeah, he's like, "Even if I had seen you that day, I would have never said anything. Like, I would have never told your family. I respect your privacy and things like that." He's like, "I can't be affiliated with these strip club employees and disrespect their workers like that, you know?"
Yeah.
So he's sitting at the show bar, which is the bar that you can dance on with like a railing to grab like above your head and stuff. He was sitting there, and I just continued on working my shift, and I get called to show bar. I get on the show bar. He sees me, and he hands me $5, which is take your top off.
Oh shit.
I've known this man since I was like 5.
Ah.
I'm 18 also.
Oh, that's fucking weird.
Yeah. I was like, this just got extra weird because I thought you saw me, thought you told my mom. Turns out you didn't, and now you want me to show you my tits.
But then he was like, But then he was like, "No, I'm a good guy. I'm just here to hang out and eat the steak, or I love their French fries, or they have really good." Like he's just like fucking playing it off. But
Yeah.
then he's like, "Oh, here's $5."
Yeah, no, you learn in sex work that majority of the men that you think you know and are normal
Yeah,
people are actually everybody's a weirdo, you
everyone's
know.
fucking weird.
Everybody.
Everyone's weird.
You know, I don't know anybody who's just totally vanilla, lives by the way that maybe their god would want them to live and things like that. Everybody's got skeletons in the closet and things like that, and everybody's got weird shit. And
Well, and it's also like what we associate as weird. Like there's certain things that, for whatever reason, we associate as weird, and other things which are the same that, oh, that's normal. Like, I mean, there's a lot of bad habits people pick up. There's a lot of bad personality traits, a lot of bad behaviors people do.
Mhm.
But because they're not maybe in like a substance category or a sex category, it's just like, oh, that's just how
Yeah.
they are.
Well, that's really why sex work is such a massive industry the way that it is because people can feel free to like indulge in the things that others may perceive as weird.
Yeah.
You know, they can go and like live their truth in the strip club a little bit. Um,
Well, it's. I mean, just as humans, it's a natural instinct. That's the derivative of it,
yeah, and it's
right?
all
It's
a
it's a
secret.
need, and
Yeah,
it's dopamine, right? I mean, we get dopamine from exercise. We get, dopamine from doing something well at work or eating something. There's all these little almost addictions, but
hmm,
they're also things instinctually we need.
right.
Um, and it's like that one's always really strange. Anything with sex work, because it's taboo, it's secret, it's we don't talk about it. But I mean, we can talk about, oh, I ate 3 cakes last night. Like, that's fucking weird. But nobody's gonna be like, don't talk to me, you shouldn't.
Yeah,
Like, I'm ashamed of you for eating 3 cakes. I mean, people can just eat 3 cakes, and for whatever reason,
I just love the analogy that you're using right now.
yeah, can you imagine that, just like sitting down and polishing off? I mean, there's a lot of things people do.
Yeah,
I don't know, and it's just that world is always so shadowy, and
yeah,
I obviously don't think it should be out in the open. It's not like a completely out in the open thing, but we always keep it. I don't know, very shadowed and taboo, and I don't know if that's just culture that it is, but it's. I think it I think it leads to a lot of fucked up stuff because then people closet shit and bottle it up. And then, I
yeah,
mean, if you saw like working in that clubs, I mean, you get to see the release.
yeah.
Like you said, people get to be themselves more. And now they're like making up for all that lost time, keeping their fucking weird in,
Hmm.
and they just get a.
Yeah. No, I had known of one girl who got paid however much money to pee on a guy in VIP. Like,
So it's no touching, but peeing's okay.
yeah, no, that one doesn't cross the line, apparently. Um, yeah, she had like peed on a guy
It's
in
a pee.
VIP. But like, you know, a lot of these men that go in there are married too. Like, what are you gonna
Yeah.
ask your girlfriend to pee on you? No, she's gonna tell her friends, you know, or your Tinder date or your wife, you know, something like that. And there's judgments in the real world, but in sex work, it's you go with the flow with you know, there's still consent there. There's still, you know, what you are and are not comfortable with. But if somebody was like, here's $1,500, can you piss on me? I'd be like, absolutely.
Yeah.
I'm gonna be nervous
Well, yeah,
about
and
it,
I
but
mean, in that exchange, everyone's getting what they want.
right,
You know.
right. And nobody has to know about it, you know?
Yeah.
These guys go home and get dressed and take a shower and get in bed with their wives and then go to work the next day and take little Timmy to the baseball game and you know, they're normal people, but they go do weird shit in the strip club.
Yeah. What is there any other like weird, like I guess I would say unconventional things that customers or people would ask for, or maybe like a specific thing somebody had that they would always.
Yeah, there was a guy. I had never had the pleasure of crossing paths with him, but God, I wish I did. because he would come in every month, couple of months, and spend easily at least $5,000 asking girls to eat. Or he'd like pick the hottest girl in there and be like, I'm going to order you food. You just keep eating. Every plate you eat, I will give you $200.
What the fuck?
So there was, I remember I talked to the girl who had done it, one of the girls who had done it, because we'd only see him every once in a while and you would be so lucky to sit with him. And she's
So
like,
when this dude walked in, people are like,
yeah, go sit with him. Like, and you
Yeah.
know, if the bartenders like you and they're looking out for you because they're the ones that are there the most, they're like, that guy spends a lot of money. Go over there,
yeah.
you know? Or like, yeah, but he wanted girls to eat. So he'd be like, I'm going to give you $200 for every plate you eat. So this girl, she said she made so much money. She sat there for like 6 hours and ate the entire time. She'd get full, go to the bathroom, jam her fingers down her throat, throw up,
Ah,
come back, eat more.
that's probably not good for you.
Absolutely not.
Ah,
Model diet. Yeah, not good for
yeah.
anybody. But she made a lot of money just eating. I don't even think he asked her to get naked.
Did he wanted to like watch this the whole
Yep.
time.
That was just his thing. I don't even think he was going for like big girls
I
who
guess there's worse things.
I don't even think that he was like going for girls who look like they like to eat either. I think he was going for skinny girls.
Maybe it was like the opposite. Like, I'm gonna corrupt you.
Yeah, maybe like I'm thinking about it like from a psychological standpoint. Maybe he had like a fitness wife or something who hasn't eaten a carb in the last 15 years or something like that. And, you know, and he's like,
Just making up the backstory.
yeah, you eat this cheeseburger. I'm going to go home and touch myself thinking about it later. Like, people are weird. I've got some pretty silly stories, and it's a full spectrum of things that I experienced in the year that I was dancing.
So you got the pee guy, you got the food guy. What else?
I had a friend get paid once like $2,500 to shit on someone.
Ah,
That's in the same realm as the pee. It's a
Like,
little worse, but
yeah, that's worse. Yeah, that's definitely worse.
that one's actually really normal. The first time I'd ever heard about like that like
Oh.
kink, I was like 16, and I had a friend who's like, it's my dream to have a chunky girl shit on my chest. And I was like, you are a strange critter. You're a
Strange critter.
I thought it was, yeah.
I don't. I heard about it on South Park. That's about my extent of knowledge. Did you watch South Park?
South Park's a little too real for me. Like just the things that they reference, like things like that, like, oh, that sounds so silly, but if you know, you know.
That's why they're very insightful. That's
Yeah.
why I kind of love South Park. Like the first time I heard about that was like Cartman's mom was in a German Scheiser film. It's like shit, like Scheiser, shit.
Oh my God.
But like, yeah, ugh, that's a bad one. I don't like that one.
I'm trying to think of
The eating one, I'm like, okay.
one of my regulars. He was a little bit of an odd guy. Most of these men, the majority of the men that go into strip clubs, at least regulars, just want somebody to talk to them. You know, a woman to pay them attention, a beautiful young girl to pay them attention and think they're funny and laugh at their jokes and hang out with them. You know, they don't get that in their normal life.
I see. I can understand that one a lot, and I've heard that.
One of my regulars, though, I saw him about once a week, and I'd go and dance for him for about 3 hours straight. And I wasn't even hardly dancing. It was, you know, $10 a song, fully nude, not touching anything. And we'd go for like 3 hours, and I'd basically be just swaying back and forth, and we would talk nothing but politics that whole time. And I'd probably see him once a week, and he loved me.
That's a good one.
And I'm not even, I mean, this is an acting job, and it's a job where you kind of have to be able to converse with people about just about anything.
Yeah.
Obviously, some people have gray areas. Some people are really strong in those areas in conversation. Politics isn't my number one thing. I kind of just can reflect off other people what I think they want to hear. This is why
You
I
can
was,
hold a conversation.
yeah, that's why I was successful as a dancer without having to, you know, borderline prostitute myself or anything like a lot of do, because I was interesting to talk to for a lot of these men. And yeah, I would just hear his opinions and kind of reflect them back to him. even if I didn't agree with him, I would pretend to believe in something I did not. And he's like, I have this super hot naked chick in front of me talking to me about how I'm right.
Agreeing with you.
Yeah.
There's a kink in that right
That's
there.
the dream. That's the dream for just normal men. He was just a normal guy, I think.
Yeah. I would pay someone just to agree with me, just on anything.
Just yes men.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. Just like, it could be on the phone. I could be like, I don't think The Rock is a good actor. And they'd be like, fuck yeah. I get that.
Number one fan.
Jimmy Fallon's overrated. And be like, oh, I was always thinking that. Like number one fan.
But that's what you do when you're when your strong suit in sex work is conversations. You just are a yes man to people who.
Well, nobody agrees with anyone with anything anymore. Like everyone's argumentative.
Yeah, everybody has really strong opinions.
Too strong of opinions. Too many opinions. Have less opinions. That's my fucking answer.
Your presidential slogan.
That's my like
Have
when
less opinions.
when I hear like there's some problem that's existed since the beginning of time. Like I don't fucking know. Like men leaving the toilet seat up or hair in the drain of the shower. Just some problem that's existed forever. Let's say politically. And someone's like, well, the way to fix this is we just need to have an open conversation. I'm like, y'all been doing this for fucking years and you haven't changed a fucking thing yet.
Yeah.
Like an open conversation. How about stop talking about it?
Yeah.
And you're talking about it too fucking much.
Yeah. And most recently.
There's a such thing.
Where I've seen examples of that is the things that are happening in the Middle East right now. I'm seeing influencers being held accountable for not putting their opinions out there. Yeah, they're not saying anything. And I'm like, this person who just makes silly videos on TikTok is not going to have. You should not rely on them.
Geopolitical stance.
These are problems that have existed for a very long time.
Yeah.
My opinion is not going to change anything.
Talking about it doesn't do shit.
No, it doesn't.
No. I'm tired of that. That's like a modern thing. Like we just talk about it. No, it just fucking makes things worse.
All right, so your presidential slogan can be "Have less opinions." Mine can be
"Have less fucking opinions."
Stop talking.
Stop talking. You're the vice president, or vice versa.
Yeah, sounds good.
One on one. Yeah, I get it. Stop talking. Have less opinions. Just shut the fuck up and just chill.
No, it's quiet time.
It's quiet time, and then pay someone to agree with you. And you could just do that like once a week. That's like your kink. God. Like you just like pay someone to be like, oh, fucking ketchup doesn't belong on hot dogs. I'll be like, fuck yeah, I got you. I understand. Yeah. But I mean, the concept that you're talking about working in the club, that's very real because I think as adults and especially men is they may not have an outlet to where someone will talk to them or they can be themselves. You know, if they have a professional life and they're kind of keeping it straight and narrow or trying to put a facade out or, maybe their relationship isn't the best with their wife or kids or they don't have a lot of close friends, like that connection. But also at the same time, it's kind of like, well, I'm paying you. It's not like a voluntary connection. Like,
yeah.
Okay. And I'm sure that's not always the case. But when you are talking to customers, I mean, you're trying to get money. That's your time. That's your money. You're there at work.
Yeah.
And you're not going to spend 2 hours just chatting with someone for free.
You can get sucked into that. Every stripper's fallen victim to that. At least once, but eventually you learn, my time is money. If you just want to sit here and talk, I want to watch you put down $100 bill every 20 minutes and I'll keep sitting here and talking to you,
Yeah.
And I did have a regular that did that. He just wanted to talk. I think I did maybe a handful of dances for him in the few months that I knew him.
Mm-hmm.
But he was like, I know your time's valuable. $100 bill, crisp $100 bill every 20 minutes and just sit there and chat. And I was like, this is the
$100 bill.
Crispy one. Yeah.
Like, okay.
Yeah. No, I was living the life and I'm 19 at this time. I started when I was 18, turned 19 and like I'm making bank just being hot and dancing and
Yeah.
talking, and I'm doing it 3 days a week. I was probably racking in a minimum of $1,300 3 days a week. This is also day shift. You know, there's more money at night. And from 2 to 8, at least 1,300, upwards of $3,500, maybe more.
Is that
Work
like, what was like your biggest day?
30, 36, 37, I think. I'd gone into a VIP. This one girl who had worked there for a long time, she had a regular who would come, or sugar daddy regular, I don't know what he was. He was an older guy.
Okay.
And she had told me, "Hey, my guy's coming in today. He likes it when we bring a girl into the room to play with us." I was like, "Well, let's play."
Yeah.
Because, you know, this is, again, strict no touching, but he was a big spender. And when you're a big spender regular in the strip club, you kind of get, the rules can be bent a little bit. You get checked on less, you know.
That makes sense.
Foreman sees something, no, he didn't, because the foreman's getting tipped by these guys too,
Yeah.
you know. So play was like it's gonna look like I'm going down on you, but I'm not. Or we'll kiss a little bit. We're not gonna like vigorously make out, but we'll kiss a little bit, and we might kiss him a little bit, and I'll kiss your breasts, and you know, and things like that. It was just little teasing things. And I went in there with her for 4 hours, and it was 200, 250 for 30 minutes, 400 for an hour. So, and plus all the money I'd already made that day, plus whatever else he tipped on top of that, because he'd say, "I want to see this thing," and I'd say, "Oh, I don't do that," and he's like, "Slides a little more money," and I'm like, "Now I do that."
Is there like is there a coyness to that, to where you're kind of like, oh, I don't do that.
Yes.
I've never touched a boob before. And they're like, I want to see that for the first time.
Yeah,
Like
absolutely.
there seems to be a little bit of that. And I
Absolutely.
can see that mousetrap.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And you just have to have boundaries with yourself and lines that you won't cross, you know, most importantly. But uh, services can be bought, you know.
Well, to like play more innocent to something.
Yeah. Yeah. Or I don't know, I'm not comfortable with that. You know, and
Mhm.
just like, well, what if you just kiss her thigh? And I'm like, I don't know. Here's $250. Okay. Like,
Thighs are weird. I've never seen a thigh before.
never seen a thigh.
I'm allergic to thighs, actually.
I break out in hives.
Yeah.
Hives.
Huh.
Yeah. But
Well, and they probably know it too. I
yeah.
mean, they get the game.
Yeah. But circling back, yeah, that was probably my biggest day. I think was doing good before I went into that room with them, and ended up walking out of the club before tip out. It was 3,500, probably boiled down to like 28, 29. I'm 19.
Yeah.
This is cash too. This
Yeah.
isn't on your next paycheck, taxes deducted.
No.
Like, what 19-year-old do
You're
you
going
know
home with that. Yeah.
making that even in a month sometimes, you know? And I was making that in a day. And it would happen. I'd have a big, big day like that probably once every 3 weeks. But on average, I was probably bringing home $500 a shift.
Hmm.
And all I had to do was go walk around in my underwear for a little bit, dance a little bit, you know?
I do that for free
Right?
all the time, every day.
It's the price you pay for marriage.
Yeah. My wife, she doesn't pay me anything. Walk around in my underwear and dance all day. It's ridiculous. So, did you ever have customers that, I mean, I'm sure you did, but I mean, just for like an example, I mean, there had to be guys that constantly tried to push or that just got fucking creepy with it. Like,
I have had a guy removed from the club once. I don't remember the exact details because this was years ago and it was just a blip, you know, but I've had a guy removed once. I've walked out of a VIP once because he kept trying to put his fingers places that they were not supposed to be. And, you know, I'll do like a 2 warning system, like, hey, stop. No, I already
okay.
told you that. You're going to get us both in trouble. Foreman walks in and sees that. Whether or not you were about to tell him no, you could lose your job.
Yeah.
I liked working there. You know, I wanted to keep my job. And eventually I'm like, we're done. And they pay up front. So you could walk out anytime if you're uncomfortable and keep their money.
And then it's like, I mean, did you feel pretty safe the whole time when
Absolutely.
you're working? I mean, you got security dudes.
Yeah, absolutely. If
And everyone's kind of looking out.
Not all clubs are like this. I was very fortunate here to
Okay.
have a team behind me that really had my best interest at heart, really respected me, respected the establishment as a whole. You know, I represent the establishment, you
Yeah.
know.
Yeah.
So if, if I go up to the floorman and say, this guy's really bothering me, this guy is belligerent, this guy is doing this, he can go give him a warning or just say, all right, man, grab your stuff, get out,
Yeah.
you know.
And then I guess on the same side, and I mean, I'm just thinking of this like a movie playing out, like this little show, this razzle dazzle. Is there people that you could spot? I mean, you get to do it after a little while. You'd like spot the suckers.
There,
Like you're like, ah, yeah, that dude's gonna pay, or I mean, because you say you can spot the guys that are maybe they're not gonna pay anything, they're cheap. Can you spot the suckers?
it's easier to spot who's not going to pay.
Okay.
But so the way that it works, how you even approach most of these men, because you can just walk around and go sit down with someone and talk, and if they're not wanting anything, leave after 5 minutes, you know.
Okay.
But the way that you have the best etiquette and you make the most money is on your stage sets. You get called up on stage about once every 45 minutes to an hour, depending on how many girls are on, but typically in that range. And whoever comes and tips you, you get off stage, put your clothes back on, and you go thank them.
Oh,
You know,
okay.
it's you still have etiquette in there, you know, and
Yeah.
men will complain. Like, she was really rude. I tipped her $20 on stage. She didn't even say thank you to me.
Hmm.
They get on the girls for that. They want these guys to come back. They want them to feel appreciated, you know.
Well, and probably if they're spending money up there, they might get a VIP
Exactly.
or a
So whoever spent the most money on me on stage, that's who I'd go and really try to chat it up with. If you came
Yeah.
and gave me a crumpled up $1 bill, I'm gonna go say thank you, but that's all I got. But if you come up and hand me a 20,
a crisp 20.
a crisp 20,
Yeah.
um, I'll come sit down with you, because those are the people. The more money you pay to the girls on stage, the more you can tell they have money to dispose of.
Yeah.
They like you. They love your look. They want to talk to you. And VIP is where your money's at, you know.
So is that the end goal?
Get them into VIP.
Okay.
Yeah. And VIP is the exact same, in this club at least, exact same thing on the floor as it is in the private room. You're just not on the floor.
Yeah.
You can have more conversation because the music's a little quieter.
Yeah.
You're having your drinks brought to you by a waitress. And you can just kind of have a more intimate moment, you know? Um, you can get away with a couple more things like in the room than you could on the floor. Like, I would try not to get too close to the men on the floor, but in the VIP room, like, one of my little tricks to get them to just jizz their pants a little bit was to get close to like their neck, and you like softly breathe on their neck. That'll, like, you know, stun them a little bit. And I can't do that on the floor. I can't get that close to you on the floor.
No.
So you just generally make more money back there.
Like I said, stun them a little. Like you're stunning your prey. Like
Give them the old razzle dazzle.
your foot starts twitching. So, you do this. I mean, you're doing this, what, 2 years total? Did you
I
do this?
did it for actually, in total, about a year and a half.
Because I remember when we talked before the show, you had said like 2020 kind of put the
COVID.
kibosh on it. Yeah.
Yeah. So I was really successful in it and doing really great. 19, made more money than I knew what to do with. I knew what to do with it, which was blow it.
By hookahs.
No, I sold that
You
almost
sold that.
immediately. Almost immediately. I didn't use it, and it was nice. Like, I don't know. I found a buyer for that one, but no, I was in the club. Like, I was working, and if I wasn't working, I was out partying my ass off. This was in a point in my life where I'd started experimenting and really getting into party drugs.
Yeah.
Was drinking a lot more. One of the bigger downfalls of it, not that I was ever like really bad or anything, it was just more frequent than most people. I was really teetering on what some people would consider a problem, but it was one of those things I genuinely could quit anytime, and I did. you
Yeah.
know. Um, but
But then COVID kind of puts an abrupt stop. I mean,
yeah.
even the partying, the hanging out. And then, I mean, did the club close or was
Well,
it?
everything closed.
Yeah.
The club was definitely, I mean, like bars, clubs, things like that were the first to go, you know. You could hardly even go to Walmart. We still don't have 24-hour Walmart back. You
I
never know what you
noticed
took for
that.
granted.
No, we don't have 24-hour anything back.
Occasionally you can find a McDonald's or like a Taco Bell, but Walmart, like, I really took that one for granted. I would give anything to walk around Walmart at 3 a.m. again.
Oh, it was wonderful.
Yeah, it was great. But yeah, the club shut down. And when that happened, like, it was like, you know, the automatic payments out of my account, car insurance, whatever, my account. I had just gotten back from a music festival, so I had no money. And then that week, everything shut down. I never went back to work after that festival.
Jeez.
Um, and
And that was the
ended
last
up with
time you
like
ever.
negative 600 something dollars in my bank account after previously being pretty well off.
Jeez.
Um,
And you never danced again
I tried
after
to.
that?
I tried to when the clubs opened back up. Um, but there were restrictions. We had to wear face masks. Um, people were broke. I mean, their businesses
Yeah.
were failing and their houses were, you know, getting taken from them. People didn't have stripper money anymore. They could barely survive, you know.
Yeah.
Um, and then also, who wants to go to a strip club to look at beautiful women but have their faces blocked, you know?
Yeah, that had to be awkward.
And you have to stay 6 feet apart from everyone. Like, you can't even sit next to someone and just chat at the bar anymore. Like, they have to be 4 seats over now, you know?
Oh, yeah.
So I tried to go back when they opened back up, but the money was like, I was going to work and walking out. I walked out in the negatives for the first time. I paid to go dance on men. Like, I ended up walking out with like $20 less than I walked in with.
Oh, jeez.
And I was like, I'm getting naked, showing people every part of me for $100. I could go be a waitress again and make the same, if not more. And I don't have to get naked, and I don't have to, you know, be sexually harassed, not harassed, but yeah, all day.
Yeah. So, I mean, so you haven't done it since?
No, I have. I
But,
tried to get back into it earlier this year,
okay.
or 2023, because I was really hurting for money. But it put a strain on my relationship. I got into my relationship after COVID started, and he was kind of like, you know, I really see this getting very serious, but it won't if that's what you do for work. And that was between the money and
In a
that, though.
healthy way.
Yeah. Yeah. Between the money
I mean, in
being
a healthy
different,
relationship, that can be like, okay, like, not really my thing.
it wasn't like a means of control.
Like
Like
a boundary.
yeah.
Like, I can't do that.
Yeah. Like, we were very happy together. We were having a
Yeah.
great time, but he's like, I won't consider things like a serious future with somebody who gets naked for other men all the time, you
Yeah.
know? Which some men are cool with that. Mine's
Yeah,
not.
that's a healthy boundary.
I feel like it's fair. Yeah.
Yeah.
So between my relationship being fantastic and wanting that to succeed,
So you're in a good relationship
oh,
now.
amazing. Amazing. We've been together for almost 4 years now. It's been just absolutely incredible. I'm very, very fortunate.
Yeah.
And yeah, the money wasn't the same, and I had this really great thing finally going for me that was healthy and normal. And I was like, I'm going to pursue that instead. You know, I'm not going to keep trying to hash out the stripping thing. It's not the same. Like, I'll go get a real job, make
Yeah.
the same, if not more money, and be happy with this person. And I'm really, really glad that I did. And I realized being in that relationship how much stripping had changed my brain.
Okay.
That is like a really big thing that I had seen firsthand while working in the clubs, how it affects these women and their perception on themselves, their perception on men, relationships, sex, money, things like that. Like, it really turns you into a different person. And I'm really glad that I didn't get as bad as I've seen it get.
You didn't get like jaded with it.
Right. Like, it was just money to me. It was a job. I looked
Yeah.
at it as a job. It didn't become me. It didn't become my lifestyle. Like, it was my fun little thing to tell people at parties and stuff, like, "Oh yeah, I'm a stripper." But
Yeah.
that was it. I wasn't talking to men outside the club. I didn't give anyone my number. I didn't have sugar daddies. Um, I
Well, I
did
can
not.
see how that fucks up your view of men or relationships in general.
Yeah, there had been a
That would wear on you after a while.
well, there had been
'Cause
a girl that I'd befriended, who I worked at the club with, and she'd been dancing about a year longer than me. And I remember when I first talked to her, she's like, "I started dancing a year ago and I'm doing great. Like, I just started doing this," and was like, "How are these girls not successful in this industry? This is just common sense. Go chase the money, go where the money goes." And she was a notorious sugar baby. She had gotten into the sugar baby thing because of the strip club. And in developing our friendship, at some point, she had even confided in me and told me, "I can't have sex for pleasure anymore." She's like, "Every time I go to have sex with someone, I feel like I'm wasting my time. I could be doing this for some money,
yeah.
you know?" And the thing was that was interesting was she carried herself like she was hot shit. She was beautiful, gorgeous girl, nice body, like was making money, putting herself through school with it, own apartment, 21 years old, I think. And it eventually again turned into she can't have sex for pleasure, very self-obsessed because her looks were her entire income,
Yeah.
her body, what she could do, entire income. And she had gotten to a point where she told me that, like,
It's not sustainable.
yeah, well, she carried herself like she was better than everyone and everyone was below her and whatever. But then she'd get drunk and tell me that she wakes up in the middle of the night screaming
Hmm.
and sweating and has recurring nightmares at least like almost every night.
So all
And
that glitters isn't gold, right?
yeah, and she never said that it was nightmares about what she did for work or anything like that. It was just nightmares. And I'm like, well, look at how you live,
Yeah.
you know? But social media is a fickle little thing too, because you look at her social media and you're like, wow, she travels to all these countries. She got her body done. She got this done. She drives this nice car now and still carries herself like she's better than everyone. But I know that she wakes up in the middle of the night screaming,
Yeah. Oh,
you
you're
know?
getting everyone's highlight reel
Yeah.
on their social media. That's like their commercial,
Yeah.
you know? So at the end of it, having experienced that and having gone through it, is it something that, I mean, you wouldn't recommend maybe necessarily, but you don't regret it, but you wouldn't do it again? Glad you're not doing it anymore.
I try not to regret anything in my life.
Okay.
I have a very, very short list of genuine regrets. There's a list of what ifs and scenarios, but
Yeah.
I think that I learned a lot at a very young age. Again, graduated high school and got out and have been pretty successful in being out, led me to a lot of great things like my relationship.
Yeah.
Um, and I learned a lot. Like, no, I didn't go to college, but at that age, and I still sort of believe this, I was leaps and bounds ahead of my peers, like mentally, because I knew what the real world looked like. I knew
Yeah.
people well. I knew how to network myself. I knew, real life skills and lessons that you don't get sheltering yourself from experiences like that.
Yeah. I mean, there's definitely something to be said about that.
Um, that being said, recommending it to other people, I would recommend it very few people.
Yeah.
Like, I've recommended it to my friends who get online and look for sugar daddies and things like that. I'm like, girl, just go to the club. You don't have to do this. You don't have to sleep with these old guys. Just go get on stage and you'll get just as much money and they don't have to touch you.
Yeah.
You know? Um, I recommend it to people who pretty much are already in the realm of sex work.
Okay.
Even with the OnlyFans thing, like, I recommend that over the OnlyFans. OnlyFans, everybody knows that you do that.
Yeah.
Your family knows this is totally anonymous, pretty much,
Yeah.
you know?
Hmm. So, I mean, what would you say is the I don't know, kind of number one thing you learn? Like, what's your like final thought on like, I guess, working in a club like that or doing that or the
On the brighter side, I learned a lot about how time is money. You are valuable. Um, if you think that you are not, you are, you know?
mm-hmm.
If you don't think that you're beautiful, you are. I've seen like I've talked to so many girls, oh, I wish I could do that, but I don't have the body for it. I don't have the face for it. I'm like, I've seen girls half of what you are
Yeah.
be great at it, you know? It really was an extreme self-esteem boost. It really taught me a lot about what I deserve.
Well, I think that goes back to what you said in the beginning. Like, it was diverse, and you know, there's a flavor for everybody. And I think that's interesting. Like you're not somebody's, but you're somebody's. You're not
Yeah.
everybody's, but you're this. And I think that's something I could see being valuable in learning through that experience.
Yeah,
Yeah.
for sure. And then on the darker side of what I had experienced, I had definitely, and this is one of the little regret things. Doing this does again warp your brain. Um, I matured very quickly. Like by the time I was 21, I wasn't acting a fool anymore because I'd spent plenty of time doing that already.
Yeah.
Um, even before I turned 20, I was pretty much chilled out.
Yeah.
I forget where I was going with this. I'm so sorry.
On the dark side, like learning your experience.
Oh, my behavior, the behavior of that in the club is very different than how most women act in public. But when that becomes your job and becomes what you deem as what people want to see and want to see you act, you go out in public and you kind of act differently than you probably should.
Hmm.
And it took me some time to stop acting like that, and start acting like a normal person.
Like, just an example?
I would go to parties and like get practically naked and like dance because I thought that's like I'm super drunk also and
Yeah.
probably doing a little bit of extra,
Yeah. Yeah.
so I'm not in the right headspace, but I just let way too loose
Yeah.
because it had warped my perception of
Normal.
normal. Yeah, I'm like, this is what the people give the people what they want, like that's how I worked, so I'd
Yeah.
go out in public, get messed up, and I was sober in the club. I was under 21. They don't, a respectable establishment won't let people under 21 drink at their bar,
Yeah. Yeah.
Um, but yeah, that was, it definitely impacted me in a negative way. And that was my reputation and, and things like that. Also just the general embarrassment, how I acted. My family knows,
Yeah.
I still have a family member, hold it against me, even though it's been a couple years and I've totally made a 180 on my life and have not been that person for a very long time.
Yeah.
He is my brother. He still doesn't like he's cool with me, but it's he's always gonna hold it over my head forever. My parents have let it go. They don't talk about it. They don't bring it up. They parents' love is supposed to be unconditional. My brother's kind of an asshole though, and
Well, and it's tough.
yeah.
It's
It was embarrassing for him. I
an
understand.
immature feeling, but
Yeah, it was embarrassing for him. There's a, I
you
again,
get fucked with as a guy. Like, oh, that's your sister.
yeah. Oh no, when COVID started, I tried to do, some work online,
Yeah.
and that led to his friends knowing,
Yeah.
and that's really what it was because he's like, I know that my best friend since my freshman year of high school has tried to pay you for photos of you.
Yeah.
It's embarrassing, from my sibling standpoint.
Yeah.
Um,
Well, that's like a guy thing. Like the funny guy thing, like the little inside guy joke, is you don't even let your guy friends know you have a sister unless you have to, because as soon as they find out you do, they're like, "Is she hot?"
Yeah.
Like, and it doesn't even matter. They're just gonna fuck with you. It's like a fuckingless thing. So, with age and maturity, that that does seem to go away. That's my advice. That's my experience.
I hope so. He's a pretty stubborn person, but again, it's been years and it's gotten kind of better, but he's always going to be like that.
Yeah. Well, thanks for coming on and sharing everything. I mean, it was enlightening. It was interesting. Um, you're a good storyteller, so I appreciate that. Hope you had some fun talking about it. And
Yeah, absolutely.
all right, well, thank you, and thank you for tuning in. Until next time, stay out of trouble. We'll see you in church.